motherhood moment. I want to talk today about 2 keys to calmly disciplining your children, and I also want to share a 4-step process that can really help your family when you need to discipline your children. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about are the 2 keys, and they're really simple, and if you use them together every time, it's going to improve your discipline like crazy. You have no idea. So the 2 keys are very simple words: kind and firm. And when you think about it, a lot of times some of us are overly kind. We're kind. We give our children a mile to run in. We're gracious, we give them choices, we're constantly extending grace, and that is a wonderful thing, except for when we let them get away with things all the time and we just don't crack down at all, and we, oh honey, please don't do that, and we're just never giving any kind of consequences or limits. Then our kids kind of can take advantage of that and they can end up even entitled. But on the other hand, you all know parents, and maybe you're one of them, who lean towards the more firm side of things, where they get angry really easily. Everything's just right away. No, I told you to stop that. Tell me you're going to agree with me right now. And it's very firm, and there's not a lot of kindness in it. So if you use too much firmness, your children can feel either rebellious or passive aggressive towards you. And if you use too much kindness, your kids can end up taking advantage and be entitled. But if you combine these 2 keys together like this, you have kindness and firmness in the same moment. So you are going to set a limit, but you're going to do it lovingly. And when you're going to approach them with a grace thing, there's still some expectations there. You're balancing off kindness and firmness. Your children end up feeling very solid inside. They know they're loved. You remain connected. Your heartstrings are still tied, and yet you're getting your message across that certain things are just not acceptable or helpful to them. And so there's that balance, and it also keeps you, if you're prone towards anger in your motherhood, being kind and firm can keep your temper in check as well. That's the 2 keys, kindness and firmness, and you use them together. And now for the 4-step approach that we can use to parenting. And it's something I just came up with when my oldest son, who's now 18, was young. We used to sit down together and we had this 4-step thing that we would do together, and I kept a little sign on the kitchen wall to remind us that we needed to stop. Whenever we were upset with each other or something was not going well, we needed to stop. That seems really commonsensical, but how many times in your home do you not stop? And I know in our home we have that same problem where things just keep going on and people get escalated. That's because we didn't stop. So the first step is just to stop the madness, stop. And then sometimes that means taking time apart, calming down by going to your own rooms and calming down, or just taking time to go on a little walk and calm down, whatever is needed so that you can stop and calm. And then the next thing is to sit down. So when you're both calm, whether that's after a timeout where everybody's calmed down, or whether it's just in that moment you're already able to be calm, you sit together. And the reason you sit is, if you notice, a lot of times when things are escalated, it's because everybody's standing up and we're in that fight-flight state, and so we get kind of riled up. And if we can sit down, we're actually telling our body, which sends a message to our brain, we're not fighting anymore. We're now on the same team. So we sit down together, and so that's step 2. So stop, sit, and then we pray. And so the reason we pray is because we want to bring God into the situation. We know God is here. We want to acknowledge Him and include Him and let Him guide us. And so we pray over the situation, and we pray that we can both be receptive, that we can be respectful, that our child will learn. Our child can also pray during this time for whatever they want to pray. And then we take turns talking. So it's stop, sit down, take turns, pray, and take turns talking. And when you take turns talking, a lot of times I let my child be the first one to talk after we've had an escalated situation, because they have a lot of emotions they want to process and they have thoughts. Then they go ahead and tell us what those thoughts and emotions are, and then we can listen, and then we share our point, and we can ask them questions. Well, do you think that was the most respectful way to handle that? Or how would you like to do it differently next time? And we can talk through things. If this is going to happen again, these are the things that are going to happen to you. But we're doing it in a calm state so that our child is teachable and we're not agitated. So the 2 keys are kind and firm, and the 4 steps are stop, sit down, pray, and take turns talking. And I hope they bless your family. Thank you for joining me for this motherhood moment.
Like my mom's videos?
Then subscribe below.